Do you want to experience the thrill of a Packers game at Lambeau Field? If so, be sure to get your game tickets from the longtime trusted source in Wisconsin, Ticket King. Visit their locations in Milwaukee and Green Bay, or just go to their website, theticketking.com. Again, that's theticketking.com.
And now, for fans of the 13-time NFL champion Green Bay Packers, this is Cheesehead TV Live.
Cheetahs don't stretch and neither do we.
I think you're an idiot. And I mean that with the most respect possible that I can give to an idiot.
Packers Hall of Fame quarterback Jay Cutler.
It's not as fun to say as equanimous.
That is a perfect example of a wrong opinion. Ring the bell. All right, welcome back, Packers fans. It's another edition of Cheesehead TV Live at the Watershed in Tempe, Arizona, ahead of the Green Bay Packers hosting the Oakland Raiders. I am Jason Perone of Cheesehead TV, along with, as always, Jeremy VanDerLinden, also of Cheesehead TV.
That's right. What's up?
Happy Sunday.
What is up?
Happy Sunday.
It is game day.
All right, so we keep morphing this thing and doing this thing. We do have some video for you today. It's very exciting, although it won't be when you watch it because of the topical. But as always, we like to start with the could be potentially good news, not so great news. Jeremy, the inactives, take it away.
Inactives. All right, I'll start with the Raiders. For the Raiders, right tackle Trent Brown. That is good news. Wide receiver, RS. Return specialist. Specialist, Dwayne Harris. So they're a kick returner.
Yeah, kick returner.
Wide receiver, Zay Jones. Defensive end, Arden Key. Deshaun Kaiser, we're all very familiar with. He is not active today. Cornerback, Keeson Nixon. Kayshawn. Well, whatever. You know, I try to read on the show. It's
okay.
It's a dangerous thing to do.
It is very dangerous.
Wide receiver, Terrell Williams, also not active today. So their number one receiver's out. Their kick returner's out. Trevor Davis is going to have a big role today. For the Packers, inactive today, Ryan Grant. I don't think anybody should be surprised. I'm sure some people are maybe a little disappointed, but it's not a surprise. Devontae Adams, now that is disappointing, not surprising as well. Darnell Savage, also disappointing. Tim Williams, Cole Madison, Adam Pankey, and Robert Tonyan.
All right.
Bummer.
Well, so surprisingly enough, Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Geronimo Allison are both active. I don't know how much they'll be a part of the game plan. I do think that you got to ride the Lazard train a little bit this week and see what he can do, even though he's going to be a big key for the Raiders defense. But he balled out against Detroit. No doubt he's going to get some opportunities today, and he should. He has – you know what's weird? They kept Shepard, and they actually cut Lazard, and he made it through on the waivers, and they put him on the practice squad. Like, someone didn't claim him. I'll bet you there's a bunch of teams that are upset about that.
Yeah.
Although we tend to overvalue our own players and think that these guys are like, oh, every year in training camp, we can't cut that guy. He'll never make it through.
Every time.
And he makes it through.
Especially a receiver. Every year. Every second year.
And then it's also possible that he comes out today and maybe he doesn't do as well as he did last week. But, alas. I shouldn't say alas. That's a terrible transition phrase because I used it wrongly. But, all right, so as far as the news goes, on the Raiders side, Trevor Davis is an Oakland Raider, and he looks like, with all the guys they have out at receiver, Trevor Davis is going to be like one of their primary targets today.
He is going to be an important part of their game plan today. He's going to be the kick returner, but he's also their number one receiver, which I think doesn't say a whole lot.
Those don't go together.
That's not very good for you. Now, it is good for them in that it is going to be like a revenge thing, I guess. Like, Trevor Davis could try to get his revenge. I doubt he'll be successful. He does still have to play against Jair Alexander. Sorry, Trevor, it's just not gonna end very well. So real quick in the chat, I want to say thanks for joining us, Brandy, Lee, Alex, Sunsletter. Hey, my family just showed up. Hey, family.
Hey, VanDerLinden.
Hello. Thanks for joining us in the chat. If you got questions, throw them over. Alex Talish says fire Slocum. So we're a little late on that, but I agree.
Oh, no, he's here in Tempe with us at Arizona State University, and they got their butts kicked by Utah
still want him
last
fired.
night.
So Jason still wants him fired.
Oh, I definitely do.
All right.
I absolutely do. So as far as that goes, not a whole lot of other news other than the Packers. This is their last home game for a little bit. Then they've got two tough road games coming up. They're going to Kansas City and Los Angeles to face the Chiefs and the Chargers in respective weeks. Then they come home to play the Carolina Panthers. I will be in the house for that one. And then they get their much-needed bye week to get some guys some additional rest. So speaking of additional rest, Devontae Adams not going to go today. I think they'll be okay. Darnell Savage is still out. Get him whole. Get him completely healthy and then let him come back and ball out in the end of the season. The other thing is, Jay Sternberger, tight end Jay Sternberger, returned to practice this week.
Yes, great news.
So they have up to 2 weeks to activate him or not bring him back. He's coming back. Yeah. Jay Sternberger is going to become active again for the Packers, so he will be joining the fray in a week or two. And I think Tanyan should – I don't think Tanyan's long-term. He's going to come back eventually too. That'll really help the Packers out in the tight end game a lot because they got issues. But we're going to talk about that later. So offensively –
all right.
Should we start with offense or do you want to start with defense today?
You know what? Let's mix it up. We'll start with the defense.
We'll start with the defense. All right.
Keys to the game. Defense.
They bring everybody. Allen trying to get out of trouble. Allen chucks it downfield. Intercepted. Allen has it picked off. Jair Alexander is brought down, and the Bills come up empty.
Okay, so defensively, the Raiders have a lot of guys out on offense, including their starting right tackle, Trent Brown. That's going to make for some fun in the sun for Mr. Preston Smith, who typically lines up on the left-hand side. But the Raiders have a pretty big weapon, no pun intended, in their offense. He is tight end Darren Waller, who just got a big contract extension. He's also the team's leading receiver, 37 catches on the season, and that's well above any of their wide receivers. Has yet to find the end zone this year, though. No touchdowns, but 37 catches. He's a load in the middle. The Packers are going to have to figure out how to stop him defensively. Kind of curious how they're going to go about it.
Well, no Darnell Savage. You're going to have a mix of guys playing safety again. Will Redmond, Tremont will probably play some snaps. Josh Jackson. They're going to mix in a few guys. So I don't know who they're going to use to cover him. I mean, Oren Burks definitely could be put to the task there. We haven't seen a ton of Oren Burks yet, and we don't know if this is a role that this is what we all assume that he fits as a linebacker, that he's a coverage guy. We all assume that he can fit that role and possibly fit it well. Now this week is a great week to test that because honestly there's not a whole lot else going on for this offense except for the running game and the tight end. So if you can shut down one of those, you're doing really well. And Darren Waller that's going to be an issue for the Packers today. I think he's going to get some numbers. I think they just need to contain it and keep it at bay. Keep it as low as possible. I don't think they're going to fully stop him today.
No, but the Packers defense hasn't really fully stopped anybody this season. What they do is they clamp down. They do what the Patriots do. They clamp down in the red zone. So those chunk yards in the middle of the field, good. Go get them. Have fun.
Right. Because once you get in the red zone, things do tighten up.
Give your fantasy owners what they want, but you're not giving them points. You're not giving them touchdowns. So you better be in a PPR if you got any of these receivers playing against the Packers defense. Although the Packers have been susceptible to the big play. They gave up the flea flicker to start against Detroit last week, and they also had another big pass that they gave up too. So it's out there. You know, Jair Alexander is a guy who I think needs to have a big game. He didn't play particularly well last week. I think he's going to have to kind of bounce back. I would love to see him snag one. I mean, not tipped off a tip ball. I'd like to see him actually snag one and step up in a big spot. This isn't like, you know, a make or break game for the Packers this season, but all of them are important, and you can't afford to lose a game like this when you're at home against an opponent that really shouldn't beat you.
Yeah, Jair seems to be that shutdown corner, but he doesn't really ever pick the ball off. He doesn't have a lot of that. He hasn't done that a lot. So if he could add that element to his game, that would be nice. That'd be a nice way to round things out.
Right.
However, last week, I think it's important to note, the Lions receivers are actually really good. So I understand that they had a rough week at times. They had their moments, but he also shuts plays down at other times. Like it goes back and forth. I think Jair is fine. This week he is going to have a good week because that Raiders receiver group is absolute trash. So for Jair if he struggles this week, I think we're going to have other concerns.
Well, Trevor Davis, we can only hope that Trevor Davis goes full Trevor Davis today.
Yeah.
So they also got to get pressure. Now with the right tackle out for the Raiders, that's something that you would expect the Packers to get do is get pressure on Derek Carr. He hasn't been sacked a bunch this year, but when one of your starting tackles is out, like if Ryan Balaga or David Bakhtiari were not playing in a game, that's going to make a huge difference for Aaron Rodgers. So get after Derek Carr. They've got to get him to the ground, make life difficult for him, get in his face. He's going to throw some bad balls. He's not a great quarterback. He's got a name that comes from a pedigree of NFL history. You know, David Carr was okay. Derek Carr is okay. You know, at one point I think he was seen as like the rising.
Actually, kind of a concerning note from The Athletic. Oakland has built an offense that keeps Derek Carr upright. Carr has been hit or sacked just 11.56% of his passing plays. So that's the lowest rate of any quarterback. So it is really tough to get to Carr.
But I would assume that's with the fully healthy offensive line.
Yes, that is. Now, there is a culture there with their offensive line. They are a group of nasty guys, so their backup probably will be okay today, but this defensive front will make trouble for literally anyone in the league at any moment. That can happen. So I do think they get to him today a few times. I think he is at least going to throw you an opportunity for an interception like 2 or 3 times.
I also think he's going to throw a bunch of short passes. Like I see a lot of bubble screens, try to get the ball in Davis's hands and try to get him to run and pick up some yards. The Packers have struggled against that yet again, getting to the outside, like bringing guys down, reading the play, diagnosing. On the outside, you've got Kevin King is healthy. Maybe Kevin King doesn't play as much on the outside today, though. Maybe he moves inside and he's covering the tight end because he's a little bit of a longer body. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what they're going to do there. So in terms of the corner situation, does Chandon Sullivan get some more snaps? Josh Jackson doesn't seem to be able to find the field. I don't know what the deal is there, so I don't expect to see much of him. Tony Brown is active. Yep. So he's back, and he can
Daniel
actually play.
Asked that in the chat. I did want to mention a few people in the chat. George asked how many interceptions Derek Carr was going to throw today, and I just said he'd give you 2 or 3 opportunities, but I'll say 20. He'll throw 20 interceptions. We'll go with that. So,
you're going full Corey Banky?
Yep, just going full Corey.
50-0 Packers roll.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yep.
Well, okay, so
Brian says Mercedes Lewis has glue for hands, and I agree. We're going to talk about that a little bit later.
All right, so the other thing, too, we've been talking about the passing game, Derek Carr, pressure, and all that kind of stuff, and Waller. The Raiders run the ball pretty well, and they're going to try to run the ball absolutely. Josh Jacobs, their rookie running back, has been pretty good so far this year.
Yep.
So with the offense, but again, Trent Brown is out. Is that going to affect the running game? I'm not exactly sure, but it's Chucky. He's going to absolutely try to establish the run.
Yep.
And the Packers need to prove and show right away and early, first of all, that ain't going to work, and they need to score a bunch of points and make the Raiders have to throw.
Yep. Absolutely. So the key to the game here for the defense, play your big boys and stop the run. I think B.J. Goodson is going to play some snaps today because this Raiders team is one of the best in the league running the football. I think for rushing yards, they are, I think per game, they are ranked 8th, but they've played 5 games so far, and most of the teams ranked ahead of them had played 6 or 7 games. The Broncos had played 7 games. If you gave them their average at 6 games, they would be like 5th or 6th team in the league. So, and that's the trend for their offensive line too. According to Pro Football Focus, the Raiders are rated as the 6th best run blocking team. They're rated as the 5th best running team overall, and they're 8th in the league. They're 8th in the league, like I said, for rushing yards with just over 134 yards per game. So they run the ball well. They protect their quarterback.
Yep.
That's what they do. And this is a gritty group of offensive linemen. These are some road graders, so that's why I say play your big boys. You put B.J. Goodson in there. You play Montravius Adams. This is a group that you get big against, and you try to go toe-to-toe with that grittiness. I think this defense can do it. I think they can.
You get 2 turnovers today. I think you win this game.
All right.
It rained a little bit yesterday. It should be a nicer day today, but hopefully those field conditions are a little bit better. Last week against the Lions, there was some turf and field conditions and stuff like that weren't as favorable. Guys were slipping and sliding all over the place, so hopefully they got the right cleats on today. Hopefully the Raiders don't. Hopefully the Packers do.
Yep.
But defensively, you get 2 turnovers. I think you can win this game. Get Derek Carr on the ground. Let's make Chucky mad. Let's move to the offensive side of the ball.
You ready for that? All right. Let me find this button. Got it.
Keys to the game.
Offense. Blitz. Rodgers steps away, in trouble, throws as he's hit, and it is caught. It is touchdown. Adams. How did he catch that?
All right, real quick before we get into the office, I do want to throw this out there. You can join our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/CHTV Live. If you guys want to join us there for a conversation throughout the game or throughout the week, we do talk Packers there all week. We throw any news that we see in the group. It's a fun group to be in, so go ahead and jump in there, as well as join us. Follow us on Twitter. You can follow Jason at Jason Perone. You can follow the show at CHTV Live. You can follow me at Jeremy RVDL on Twitter. And then Patreon. You can support us on patreon.com/Cheesehead TV Live. If you want to support the show, help us grow, that's the place to do that. Check that out. Click the link in the info for the show. You can find the link to that. Check that out, and there's lots of cool stuff in there that you can be part of. So check that out.
Lots of great content. So Mike Witt in the chat asks, do you think number 10 has a bounce-back game today? I don't even know if Darius Shepard's going to see the field as a receiver or a returner. I don't know. He's in the doghouse right now.
I think we all understand Lazard's probably going to be on the field before he is, right? I mean, that's where we're at right
I
now.
would put Tremont Williams back there to return a kickoff before I would put Darius Shepard, or a punt before I put Darius Shepard back out there.
I don't trust the kid right now, and I hope he proves me wrong. And we all like Darius Shepard, and also remember he is an undrafted rookie, so there obviously is something there, or he wouldn't be on the 53. But
Yeah, it's called speed.
The way that
it's called
he's performed,
speed, and he can beat third stringers in the preseason. So
the way that he performed last week, I don't know that I want to see him on the field this season. I think I'd rather let him sit for a season.
I don't mind seeing him this season, but he needs to earn his way back on the field.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough.
All right, so first offensive key to the Packers. For the Packers, rinse, repeat every single week. What do we always start out with?
Run the ball.
Run the football, right?
Yep.
So you pass to win in this league, but you've got to run the ball to be able to pass effectively and open up that play action, right?
Yep.
So it's not easy to do. The Raiders are actually only just giving up 96 yards a game on the ground, so they've got a pretty good run defense.
Yeah. Yes.
Packers have to they have to keep at it. They can't abandon the run. They don't do that like previous teams have done.
Yeah.
But they've got to stick with it. And one guy I want to see have a bounce back game is Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones didn't play particularly well last week because he had the drop. He had a couple of issues. Now I know you said early in the game it looked like he took a pretty healthy shot and might have been a little woozy. He wasn't on the injury report. There was no report of a potential concussion. So Aaron Jones is he's active today. He needs to get it going. He needs to get it going early. And if he does. If he gets going early, like he busts off a long run in the first possession, like I'm gonna like that. That's gonna bode well.
I would not be surprised to find out later that he did get a concussion in that game, and he didn't report it himself. Because that shot that he took early in the game was pretty darn bad, and he didn't play well after that.
Right.
He got hit right in the face mask. I wouldn't be surprised if there was something bigger there that held him back from having a good game. So I think Aaron Jones is fine. He's going to have a bounce back game. He'll be just fine. Evan in the chat asked why they haven't played Danny Vitale very much. Last week I called for them to play their big boys on offense. It doesn't really make any sense to me that they didn't. With the linebackers that the Lions had, I thought that putting those big boys out there would put those linebackers in a tough position, because if you put Vitale out there in the passing game, or a running back or a tight end down the seam, those linebackers were going to have to figure that out, and that would have been a struggle. They didn't do that. They didn't play Danny Vitale, and I thought that they would. So I don't know. I can't answer that question. I don't know why we're not seeing more Vitale. I would like to.
Well, you got to trust the offense and the game plan. And maybe they're assuming, like, look, we're going to keep you active, but you may not be a huge part of the game plan, so we're not going to throw a bunch of miles on the tires that we don't have to. I mean, you put your best players out there and you do what you can, but
yeah,
I mean, there's a reason for it. I tend to trust LaFleur in the offense. They're 5-1, so they've figured some things out. I think they'll be okay. Arden Key being out today for the Raiders at defensive end might be a little bit of an additional opportunity for those running backs. I think now that Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Jerron Wellison are active, that's going to open more things up for the running backs in the passing game. Like, I think, if anything, those guys are more decoys, because they'll pull coverage away and you can still throw to the running backs. If those two guys were out, if I'm the Raiders defense, I'm just going to key on the running backs and not let them throw any swing passes. And it's like, no, you're going to throw it downfield, and you're going to have to take some chances, Mr. Risk-averse number 12.
Yeah.
And that's ideally what you want.
Well, that's what he's been. When the offense starts rolling at the end of games and they're getting it done, it seems like that's when Aaron Rodgers kind of throws caution to the wind and he starts actually throwing the ball. I would love to see him do that for 4 quarters. Yeah, it's a little scary to do. Yeah, you might throw an interception or two, but you also get the offense moving downfield, and I would like to see that happen a little more consistently. But we've all been begging for that for, 3-4 years now? Like, this is the same thing we've been asking for a while. So this is not new. Real quick, if you are on YouTube, you're watching the show on YouTube, make sure you hit that like button. We have 217 people currently watching on YouTube, and we have 12 likes.
Come on, people.
Come on, hit that like button. If you're on YouTube, hit that like button. So I think it's crucial that they run the ball today, but I think we should move on to what's the next key, Jason?
This is yours. I'm not taking this away from you.
All right, good. All right. The next key to the game, start Mercedes Lewis. Stop starting Jimmy Graham. Stop playing. Stop starting.
Love it.
Stop it. Knock it off. Jimmy Graham is done. He is absolutely done. I am off the Jimmy Graham train. And I just want to say this. Ask Jason, he will tell you, I am overly optimistic all the time.
Always.
And very patient, and I wait. And as things develop, I stay patient, consistently patient, and I wait to see if a guy will turn it on. And I've been waiting for Jimmy Graham to turn it on, and I have been consistently optimistic about Jimmy Graham, and Jason's been like, hey, man, what are you thinking? He's not. One of them was tipped at the line by a Buffalo Bills defensive lineman, and the other one was the Eagles game where MVS is being tackled and the ball bounces off his chest.
Yeah, that was like
questionable. The other two, last week, Shepard, but one of them, Jimmy Graham, right in the middle of the end zone.
That one, by the way, everybody, was from last season against the Chicago Bears. And those of you who were followers of our show back then may remember I predicted that
I hate you.
earlier in the week
I
on
do
the
hate
Tuesday leading into that game that exact scenario was going to play out.
Yeah.
Fluky but weird. I kind of, Rob Reichel.
Yeah.
Right? Who's with Bob McGinn Football now, I think.
Yep.
Really
Wait, that's not a
well-respected
thing
guys
anymore.
that covers the Packers, said Jimmy Graham is done earlier this week. And I said, Rob, kind of sour. And he actually tweeted me back. And he's like, it's not sour. It's just a fact of the matter. When you watch this video we're about to show you, I might need to apologize to Rob. Because I think Rob might have some actual a case here.
Real quick, I do want to say, Jimmy Graham, this is my problem with Jimmy Graham. He lacks speed, and we all know that he's not fast. He lacks elusiveness. Obviously, we've seen him try to make a guy miss, and it's laughable. It does not work. But now he struggles to catch the football, and that's where now I'm like, okay, you don't have anything left. If you can't catch the football, what the hell do you have? You have all this size, but you can't catch the ball when it comes your way. Mercedes Lewis has been money. He's been absolutely money. So I think they need to transition over to using Lewis in the passing game and avoid the use of Jimmy Graham in the passing game as much as possible. He's not been useful. So real quick,
let's play the video, and then I have something to add afterwards.
Okay.
All right, that was actually my fault. Those of you at the Watershed who were supposed to be able to see that video as well, I screwed up. What a surprise. What a shocker. What an absolute shocker. All right, so Jimmy Graham, you saw that. One of those was kind of the high ball, right?
Yeah.
That used to be his bread and butter. That was what Jimmy Graham did, catch the high ball, spike it over the goalpost. Here's the deal. If you get paid and hired to do a job in corporate America, in the NFL, wherever it is, you are hired to do a specific job. You are hired for a reason, right?
Right.
You with me?
Yep.
Am I being fair?
I'm following. Yes.
Am I being fair?
Yep.
Jimmy Graham was hired to be a very tall, secure, reliable target.
Yep.
He's not doing that. Right. I get that it's hard to play NFL football. It's hard to catch footballs in the NFL. It would be for me. Maybe not for them. He's not doing it. You're not getting the job done.
That's right.
So if you're not getting the job done, I mean, 9 out of 10 people in corporate America that aren't doing a good job.
Yeah. Yep. Bye. Exactly. Now, I don't want to hate on Jimmy Graham. Maybe he's a nice guy, but look, if you're on my football team, I want you to catch the football, especially in the end zone.
Sean's in the house.
So, yeah, he's
Sean's in the house.
He's excited about our Jimmy Graham conversation.
It is going to be live. By the way, I don't know if the Packers have lost a game when Sean's been in the house.
Yeah. Right. So
I thought they were going to lose several times. So Sean to come over to me. I mean, the face that he makes. I'm gonna get a picture of it and put it up on this chat. When I say the Packers aren't going to win and they score a huge touchdown and they win the game, and he comes up and he's got his head just slightly tilted perfectly. He's got that. Yep, there it is right there. None of you at the bar can see it. We have some incredible regulars at this bar, man. Yeah. The Watershed in Tempe. What's up, Watershed? Are we ready for some Packers football? That's right. We got a good crowd going on today. This one's not on TV, unfortunately, but fortunately for us, then we get more visitors.
That's right.
So that's awesome.
We get more friends to hang out and watch the game with.
But, to your point, though, Mercedes Lewis actually has been a really good receiving target, and it only makes us think back to last year and be more frustrated with how little he was used.
I like to try to forget that last year happened. I was watching some highlights because I was going through Aaron Rodgers' last 4 interceptions. I cut up a little video and I put them all together, and then I decided it was too sad to play for anybody. But the hopelessness of last year all the way around, I felt it through highlights. I'm looking at Nick Perry and Clay Matthews trying to make plays on defense and feeling just so hopeless. Like the defense, every week it felt like the defense needed to be lucky to do anything good. Well, and it feels so good to be relieved of this hopelessness. It feels like it's gone, but it is a great point. What the heck were you doing with Mercedes Lewis last year?
When he did play, I mean, he caught a couple balls and he was decent. I mean, he's actually caught. Didn't he? Was it last week that he caught 2 passes and they were both like over 20 yards?
I think so. I think it was, but he's had a few catches this season that have been impressive, where it's some contested stuff where he gets his hands on the ball and he catches it.
I can tell you right now, Evan Bayless is not playing today unless everybody is dead. So he's active, but
Yeah.
This comes down to Jimmy Graham, Mercedes Lewis, and that's why the receivers are up, I'll bet you. You know, MVS probably would have gotten a little bit of extra rest if Tanya's active.
Yeah.
I'll bet you we don't see 83.
That's a
83 is
point.
probably just going to be a decoy today. Be careful with him because we need him moving forward. So the other thing, use time wisely. The Raiders actually don't pressure the passer very well. They don't get very many sacks. So Aaron Rodgers is going to have time to throw. Now, the one thing that can be a little bit dangerous with Aaron Rodgers is when he has a lot of time to throw, which sounds very counterintuitive, but we all know what he's doing. He's dancing around and, he
waits for the big play to pop
age catches
open.
up with everybody, so the trigger ain't as quick as it used to be. And so, an opportunity he saw before he would have pulled the trigger on, he doesn't anymore. And then he sits and waits for another one to open up, and it takes time for receivers to change direction, and we all know the rest of the story.
Right.
You're taking a coverage sack. Can't do that today.
Now, I would argue against that this year.
This year has been different. Yeah,
I think he has played within the offense this year most of the time. He has his moments, but today will be a good test of that to see what kind of Aaron Rodgers do we have today. Does he stand in the pocket and wait? There are moments where guys are open short, and he's too busy looking deep.
Well,
sometimes he doesn't take what's given to him.
Wait, looking for the ghost of 87's past.
Yeah,
is what he is. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the deep ball is going to be interesting because I don't know how well Lazard runs the deep pass or the deep route.
It looked pretty good last week.
MVS and Geronimo probably aren't going to. I mean, I don't know. Gmo.
Okay.
The big thing with Gmo, you want to talk about hang on to the football. That's been his bugaboo this year.
Yes. I just want to. So let's talk about Jake Kummerow for a second. Because there's a lot of love for Jake Kummerow. Packers fans love Jake Kummerow. Last week, Jake Kummerow played the most snaps of all the receivers on the team, and he did nothing. Okay? So I'm just going to say maybe we can cool off on the Jake Kummerow love a little because he's not going to be the guy that makes the offense roll. I think he can be a nice role player, and if you have your depth at receiver and he's like the last man coming in and maybe making a few plays, he can be beneficial there. I don't think you can depend on the guy to be the guy playing most snaps. He can't play 52 snaps today.
No, he's a complimentary player, but, I mean, I'd like to see him make a few catches.
Yeah, Brian says he can't get separation. You're not wrong.
You don't necessarily have to just be smart like you are and get in a spot and pick up the 4 or 5 yards. And second, and if it's 2nd and 8, pick up those 4 or 5 yards and make it 3rd and short. You've got a ton of options in the playbook then.
Rodgers complimented him a lot in the preseason. Talked about just his mindset and how Kummerow is so great with those things, and their connection was important. But now here we are in the regular season, and it means nothing because he's not doing anything. So I think we can all settle down on Jimmy Graham. Well, we can all settle down on Jimmy Graham. We understand that. Jake Kummerow. We can all slow down on the Jake Kummerow thing. Everybody take a break. Everybody who loves Jake Kummerow, just take a little seat.
You missed the Lazard. We talked about Lazard the whole opening of the show.
Okay, so that brings me to my next question. Which receiver gets the most snaps today?
Well, snaps.
Snaps.
Could be anything.
No, see, here's the thing. I don't know that you put MVS out there for the most snaps today.
No, it's not going to be.
Right? It's not going to be Geronimo, so who's it going to be? Is it Jake Kummerow? Does he get the most snaps again?
I'll bet you it is.
You think so?
Because he could get a snap and not be thrown to. He could be the third read out there every single snap but play 80 snaps.
I think they're really going to test Allen Lazard today. I'm going to say Allen Lazard ends up – he goes from the least amount of snaps at receiver to the most amount.
If they run 80 plays on offense,
week.
By the way, that's going to be pretty incredible. Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Raiders won't have Vontaze Burfict because he's been suspended, former Arizona State Sun Devil and resident Meathead. But another Meathead is active for the Raiders, and that is offensive lineman Richie Incognito. Does he go full in Dominican suit today and try to kill somebody?
I think he's part of the culture of that offensive line there. That grittiness that they have, like he's part of that. So I wouldn't just put it on him. The meatheadedness would not just be him. I'd put it on that entire offensive line. No, I'm not concerned. He's fine. He's older and he's whatever. I'm not too concerned about Richie Incognito any which way. Maybe the only thing to be afraid of there is maybe he will go a little crazy and do something stupid. That's all you got.
Entirely possible. Absolutely. Yes. All right, so let's predict this thing. Lead us off.
Oh, you want my prediction
first?
Yeah,
you go first.
If you're in the chat real quick, we're going to throw out our predictions. If you want to throw in some predictions, that's great. If you got some keys to the game, throw them out there in the chat. We'll try to get to some of those. Okay. Steve says, Jeremy, $50. I don't know what that means. You want to give me?
He wants to bet you $50.
You want to give me $50? I'll take $50. Okay. predictions. My prediction for today, I think the Packers win. I think it is a close game because of the question marks for the Packers at receiver. Even though those guys are active today, they are still banged up, and they're not going to be playing at their highest level. I have the Packers winning today 28-24 in a close football game. I think the Raiders do run the ball really well today, and I think they are going to struggle against that tight end. That's going to be a struggle for the Packers defense.
I think it's going to be a little bit of a mutter, old-school type football game, a little bit more low scoring. The Packers are at home, so I've got to give them the nod here. The Raiders have too many guys out and banged up, but I do think Green Bay might struggle to find the end zone. They might get some yards, might struggle to find the end zone. I've got a 21-14 Packers.
All right.
They improve to 6-1 if they win today. And then next week they move on to Kansas City, where it doesn't look like Pat Mahomes is going to play. We're not there yet, but my initial thoughts are I'm in the camp of I'm bummed out. I want to see the Packers play the best version of the Chiefs possible and beat the best version of the Chiefs possible.
Yep.
And now they're not going to get a chance to test themselves and really get to do that. It's an opportunity for them to maybe try to steal one in Kansas City, but it's still going to be a very, very tough game. But bummed to see Mahomes injured. But the good news is it sounds like it's going to be a very short-term injury. And, in fact, Adam Schefter tweeted out today that he may come back even sooner than 3 weeks, which is...
I don't think it'll be next week, though. I don't think it'll be next week.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so real quick, in the chat, Federa says Richie Incognito will be incognito today.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, Brian has Packers winning 21-18. Moses has them winning 24-17. I think it's a pretty clear consensus here. The Packers are going to win today.
Wes Craven, 31-21 Packers.
He thinks Rodgers goes off today. Ben Arak says 28-3. I like that. Packers win 28-3. Shutting them down on defense today. I like that a lot. That sounds great. I do think the Packers are going to be just fine today. I think they come out with a win. I think it is going to feel like they are in control this entire game. It is going to be a close game just because I think the Raiders are going to be able to move the ball on the ground today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's only one thing to do, play some football and go, Pack, go, I think, right?
Yeah, I think that's all we got left.
Any final thoughts before we sign off? We will be back for the Sunday night game against the Kansas City Chiefs right here at this very establishment, the Watershed in Tempe.
That is right.
Unless something else happens that we don't know about, and then we won't. But we believe that we will be here for
We'll let
Sunday
you know.
Night Football.
If you're in the Facebook group, the Facebook group, facebook.com
Follow us.
/groups /CHTV Live. If you're in the Facebook group, we'll let you know where we're going to be. We will keep you updated there.
Should be here, though. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Packers, Raiders, old school football. It's Chucky back in Lambeau Field. This has been Cheesehead TV Live.
Thank you for listening to Cheesehead TV Live. Check out cheeseheadtv.com for more great Packers content.